Hello, everybody out there in the world of the interwebs. I am Danny Terrell.
I'm Randy Ford.
I'm James the Third.
We are the living room.
Yes.
Yes. Guess what? All three of us are back today.
We're back.
Yes. Hello, James. How are you?
I'm good. It's good to be back. It's good to see y'all's faces. You know.
Yes.
Yes.
You have had some travels. You have. We'll talk about that probably in a little bit. I hate doing this section. So, what is the living room, people? I don't know why I don't like doing that. It's just
because it's very routine.
It's a lot of work.
No, we try. But, we're all artists here, Black contemporary artists of all the things, movement, poetry, writing, directing, curating. We're just creatives. And we are also queer and on the spectrum of transgender. And we have stuff to say. And so we decided to make a podcast called The Living Room,
yes,
which was in front of a live audience. But because of all the things, we are now here on a virtual platform using our newest friend here, Streamyard, at a new time, 7 p.m., because some of y'all still got to get off of work. And bless those of you that are blessed to be working right now also. But yes, so we're here. We talk about fashion, politics, look, spirituality, sexuality, you name it. And yeah, we are multi-generational. I'm from Seattle. I'm the only one, but my dear friends here are great transplants who've made a stamp of approval here in the city. So yeah.
Inshallah.
I'm the only one here. I'm the only one from Seattle, and I'm also 12 years old, and I'm also
something like that.
21.
all the things. Mace, do you want to go over? I'll go over recording, and Mace, if you do the commitment to collective growth. Please know that the Living Room is a recorded program, and it will be streaming on our Facebook page and also on our YouTube channel. So if you make any comments or you have anything to say, make sure that you want to say it. Make sure that you want to put your words and your voice out there, not your physical voice, but your words. If not, just don't make any comments. And with that said, you can make comments using the comment section in Facebook and YouTube. So we love comments. We love the audience to interact the way that they can. So
forget your Venmo.
You always Venmo. Not that man.
NNY long 5.
Dash long, dash 5.
Okay,
yes. Business. Yes. Mason, would you like to go?
I will go over the commitments to collective growth. So we have a few different commitments that we like to share with people because, we're not in it just by ourselves. We're in it with you all as audience members and people that are watching. And so we just want to make sure that we're all in this together collectively, right? So the first commitment to growth is we, the hosts and creators of the Living Room, want to make sure voices that are Black, trans, gender nonconforming, and gender variant are centered and are the ones that are always centered. If you're offering up any thoughts, because we're going to ask you, even though we're trying this platform of StreamYard and we're doing this through the comment section on Facebook and YouTube and things like that, we can see all the comments that you all make. And so when we're asking for people to offer up any experiences or thoughts, please make sure they're your own experiences and that you're not speaking for whole other groups of people, right? We, as the host of the Living Room, reserve the right to not engage with anyone that will cause harm to the communities in which we are in relationship with, right? We should hope that is a very simple one that we can all agree on.
Right.
We also want to make sure that people listen and speak from a place of understanding and love. We are committed to a place of collective growth and healing for Black, trans, and non-binary people. We are open to the idea of collective growth with some of our solidarity partners as well, right? And so we're centering Black, trans, gender nonconforming, and gender variant voices. We all, we may talk about some issues that are not specifically only just about Black, trans, non-binary, and gender variant people, but those are the people we are most primarily invested in. Yeah. I think that's everything. Did I forget anything?
No, you're good. That was perfect.
Yes. And just know too that we're gonna be, glowing up as you speak. So you'll see a lot of changes and shifts as we grow as humans in this world of everything shifting. So just know that there'll be some exciting new changes to come, permanent changes to come that you'll see.
Oh wow. Okay.
And like all podcasts, we have segments, and the first one is Blessings and Bullshit. We start off with, kind of a rose and thorn of the week. I start blessings. Blessings can be anything from a highlight, positives. I got through a really busy work week, and I'm proud of myself for getting through it because I really was like, oh my God, if someone else texts me one more time about anything on this. It seemed like everyone wanted this particular weekend to be the fall kickoff for a bunch of video projects. And so when the smoke happened, it was all the smoke and everything was like, okay, we shouldn't be outside. And so it was a lot up in the air for me this weekend. And I was just really cringing, oh my God, I wouldn't be mad if we rescheduled, but I kind of just want to get through all of it. And I got through it, and it's great. And today was a great, exhausting Wednesday, but I got to work out. And I'm so happy that, the air is clear here and that the fall equinox has officially started. Fall is my favorite season. And so, that's really my blessing. That's all I have for you between last week and this week. Bullshit, we'll get into really in the meat of today, but I'm just going to say white people. That's it. Next.
I'm just sitting there for a minute.
That's it.
I'm sitting in that. So I will move forward with my blessings and my bullshit. Blessings is I'm trying to find out what it means to have preserve myself. We talk a lot about self-care, but I'm looking at it kind of differently because self-care for some people can be a glass of wine while chilling out, watching movies. Some people can be in a bath. Self-care can look like whatever, but preserving myself for me looks like not working past a certain time, setting very clear boundaries of my no, and just stopping. I've been saying this a lot lately, and just because we're working during a pandemic at home does not mean that we need to work 14, 15, 16 hours a day and have meetings 9 or 10 o'clock at night. And it's no shade to anybody, but what I found out during this time, we are actually more exhausted. We are more tiring. Being in front of the computer, as we are now, can be extremely exhausting and tiring. And we are also dealing with a lot of grief. And again, some of that we will get into today. We are dealing with a lot of grief. And we're not having, even though we shut down in a sense, we're actually not shut down. So for myself, I just decided to it is hard pressed to try to get me to have a meeting after 3 p.m. Unless I truly love you. For those people that are sending me text messages and wanting to respond, it's not that I don't want to respond. My body is in shutdown mode. My emotions are in shutdown mode. And so I'm just trying to preserve myself. And it's no offense to anybody else, but I'm just doing what I need so my mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual health can be what it is that I want to be. In therapy today, I was really talking about I don't want to have any more pain. And it's not just physical pain, it's the mental, emotional, spiritual pain. So I'm choosing myself first. So if you sending me emails, if you are doing all that stuff and I don't get back with you soon, I will. And if I send you emails, I have no expectation that you will answer right away. I'm just to that point. So as you give me grace, I'm giving people grace. So that is part of my blessing, just learning to preserve myself and look at it beyond self-care. So for me, my bullshit, oh goodness. Okay, so I'm just gonna say what's on my mind because it does not matter. And I really don't care if people try to come for me, but check yourself before you check me. There's a lot of stakeholding in the Seattle activist scene. And it's really bothering me. It's it is making me sad. It is making me lose faith and hope in a collective body of Black healing that we can do. There are a lot of different organizations fighting with each other, and there's a lot of individuals. And again, if you feel in some type of way and you think I'm talking about you, I probably am talking about you. But I'm just talking about what I'm seeing in general. So if you're taking it personal, before you check me, check yourself. The system is designed to destroy us and to separate us, and we are playing into it really, really well. Like, it is clear that we are okay with that. If I'm not on the street protesting, if I'm not at a march, if I'm not talking about defund the police in the way that you are talking about, it does not mean that I'm doing work. And also, we're still in a pandemic, as Mason always says, and we need to preserve ourselves in the way that we do. People are getting upset over money. If I get $5 and you get $4.50, you are upset with me because I got 50 cents more than you. But we're not talking about how we can actually bring community together. All of this fighting. Also, well, that part. And then also, this fighting is making more things happen, like the verdict we'll talk about with Breonna Taylor, more police killings, more Black trans people are being killed. Like, we collectively have to actually say, let's stop. Can someone from all of these different activist circles say, let's stop? What are you doing? And how can the work that I do enhance the work that you do? People are fighting over buildings. They're fighting over money. They're fighting over talking to the mayor and the chief and all that other stuff. And we are playing into the system. And it is just wearing and tearing on me. I can't fight anymore in the way that I was fighting. I just personally can't do it anymore because it is not a collective voice. And if you are a Black person doing this thing, and you're another Black person doing this thing, then I'm about to put down the thing that you're doing because you're not doing it the way that I'm doing. Like, I hope people understand just how silly it is. Like, it is not about collective growth. And I wish people would be honest about, yeah, I want the buildings and I want the money. That's why I'm getting upset. Because if it was really about the liberation and the freedom of Black people, the conversations would be different and you would not be fighting with the person next to you. That is my truth. That is the way that I view things. So that's like just some bullshit that has been coming up for me. Seeing things on the internet, seeing like people trash and tarnish other folks on the internet, and then having non-Black and white voices get in on these conversations. Like, that's the part that's like tripped out for me when you have non-Black people, non-Black POC people and white people start to weigh in on the different groups. So I'm like, please understand that we're doing exactly what the system was designed to do. That was to separate us and to tear us apart over something that we don't even have yet. So that's all. I'm gonna stop there. Yeah, that was a lot.
Okay. You show up. I'm like, I understood some of it. I know those particulars. Yeah. So I would say the blessings to me, so just as my first blessing, it's a little selfish, I'll say, so my newest book, White Folks Be Trippin', got nominated for about 4 awards this week, so I'm pretty excited about that. So that's been a pretty big blessing. I've been spending a lot of the pandemic, as many of y'all know, sort of in a little hovel, writing a lot of things, and so I've been just kind of churning out a lot of work in that way.
He's been ignoring us.
Say again?
He's been ignoring us.
I've been working on my legacy, as they say. Been working on my legacy. And so, yeah, because between the book and the documentary stuff, but the bullshit. What you say? Don't be punking me. Like what?
We're being shady in front of your face. Like we're being shady right in front of your face.
Be shady. Do all the things you need to do. Okay.
Behind your back.
And I'm like, the work I need to get done got done. Okay. And then too, as far as my bullshit stuff, you know, the world is a mess, right? So the world is a mess. And we're talking even about some of the things that you've observed in Seattle, I'll say like some of the blessing pieces is it seems like there is some larger conversation happening now. We don't know where it's going to go around defunding the police at least a little bit here in Seattle. Not sure where all that stuff will end up, but even in the midst of, there's some blessings that are happening that I think organizers and activists all around this country are seeing. We got a devastating blow of knowing that Breonna Taylor, of course, none of the people that actually were responsible for killing her were even indicted for killing her. As someone who doesn't believe in the justice system in that way, there's still a part of, I think, many of us, regardless of whether you see yourself as a left of left, if you see yourself as a liberal or Democrat, if you see yourself in whatever kind of way, as a Black person, I know it's always hard when we see people not getting even a semblance or a whisper of justice, or even being valued for their lives, right?
Right.
So that's the major bullshit.
Awesome. So we're going to jump right into what we want to talk about today. And it's probably going to be two things that are also interconnected. The first, we were having this conversation about voting. And so kind of want to dabble into that for a little bit. And that's all. I was like, hey, yeah. Excuse me. So let's just start off with and please make comments if you choose to make comments, but what are your general thoughts about voting? Let's start with Mason first.
Let's not do that, but I would like to know from people in the comments, whether you're watching on YouTube, whether you're watching on Facebook, we would love to know, how do you feel about voting? I will answer the question. I will also love
how do you vote?
YouTube, or my other lovely colleagues here to let us know how you feel about voting. I felt very anxious and almost broke out in sweats knowing that was our conversation for today, because I, like many of my friends and loved ones and colleagues, am not someone who believes in federally voting. I don't believe in it for a lot of reasons. I don't think a lot of our rights, when we think about our innate rights as human beings, are often won through voting. I think it's through other ways and means of holding systems accountable. I think even looking at what happened with Breonna Taylor today too, that is also very much related in the ways in which government systems are not actually made to keep us safe. I think we're often tied into going into the cyclical place, and every 4 years, especially around federal voting, we're like, oh, we're gonna vote in this way and this thing will happen. When we know logistically, all of our votes aren't even counted, right? So we know that logistically, all of our votes are not counted. We know that when people throw around things like, our ancestors, Black folks died for voting, we are killed for all kinds of reasons as Black folks in a white supremacist society, being killed for things like walking, being killed for things like chewing gum, being killed for things like going to the store, being killed for things like trying to support our families, right? And so just there's a lot of tension for me about believing in a system that consistently seeks to destroy us, that also wants us to be invested in voting and not in dismantling that system. So that's sort of where I'm at. Yeah, I might reluctantly be a voter this year just because living in Seattle, of course, we vote by mail-in ballot anyway. So I don't think that voting hurts. So I'm also in the place of I don't know that it helps. I don't think that it hurts. Yeah, that's some of where I feel today. What about y'all?
I'm on the fence of voting. Part of me is fired up because we've been through hell the past 4 years. And so I'm definitely we need to vote this person out of office. And then I'm also, does voting actively work, and is voting the thing to do? So I'm kind of split in that I will be voting, but I'm also kind of split. And I shared with my two loves last night that my family, part of my family is Jehovah's Witnesses, and all Jehovah's Witnesses don't believe in voting. So I kind of grew up with that inside of who, my frame of mind of not voting, but I will be voting. I think I am losing faith by the second of this system that's in the United States. It was already wavering, but it's just depleting. My faith in the systems in the United States it's just depleting quickly. So that's kind of my thoughts for now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm a little mixture of all the things, but I do vote. My family doesn't really vote until like, you know, when Obama was elected, really. Otherwise, voting really wasn't something that we did or like talked about, even, you know, for like not, you know, the federal elections, but like just for all of our state voting, you know, and local voting things. And so when I was I was 18 the year after Obama was elected the first time, and I was able to vote the next year. And a lot of the reason why I do vote is because I took an AP government class, and this Black woman, who was my favorite teacher in school, was like, you need to be voting, because like, what's the point of, you know, and I'm not like a religious voter by any means. Like, I'm very much a lazy voter. Like, I'm the person who's like, who's Democrat? Check. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I'm not committed to it all year at all. I'm committed to it probably the month before it happens. And so, but my kind of principle around voting is that, yes, I don't want to put all of my hope like, oh, my one vote's going to change the world or anything. But I do think that my vote gives me, personally, it gives me a right to really be like, damn, this fucking system that you made for me to participate in fucking sucks. And now that I'm participating in it, you know, nothing's really happening. So it's kind of like I get very much caught in between. I do know that, you know, for people who like don't vote just because they don't want to, I question that, just because there are so many other things that go like this year in our elections, there's like the sex education thing that's happening that a lot of people are going to miss if they choose to simply not vote. And then when that comes around in schooling, whatever, people are wondering why it is what it is. Well, it's like, well, we had that in the thing that maybe you chose not to participate in. And so for me, it's kind of like that. Like, there are other things beyond like the presidency that are important about voting for me. Like, there are things in our taxes, like where our money's going to, that goes into like what we say that money gets to go to, you know, what things get to be more expensive, what things don't. Which billionaires get to cut, you know, so there's like a little bit in there for me to be like, I get to kind of be like, you know, I get to do what I can, you know, to say like, you know, like I was like, no, you know, like I had a hand in saying fuck that, you know, and so that's kind of just like my little like inkling of like why I do. Although I don't put as much like I don't fault people who don't vote. I question like what has led them to not voting. Like, if you were just not voting just because, and again, that's a reason, but also like, what are the other reasons?
Right. Just read some comments. Carla Rons, thank you for last week, Carla Rons.
Thank you, Carla. We love you.
It's a yes and for us as far as voting.
It's a yes and.
Yes, it's a yes and. Thank you, Carla Rons. And I just want to go back to Jamie C. with the blessings and bullshit. Blessings. Blessed to work, blessed my scholars are safe and crushing online learning. Bullshit, also white people. So thank you all for the comments. Again, keep the comments coming. We'll definitely read them. What's our next little question on that list about voting?
Says what? Oh, there also is a comment in Instagram. Says, I agree with Jay Mace that it doesn't hurt, but it doesn't do a lot, especially if the Cheeto is vanishing and banishing mailboxes. Then I don't even know what the next 2 months will look like.
I mean, on a real tip, right? So realistically, with that piece, it's like for people that are listening, that are watching, that are actually invested in voting, if you are waiting until voting day to be interested in voting, it's already too late, right?
Right.
If you are actually invested in voting, or your loved ones having the right to vote, and want to participate in the system in that kind of way, right? You know, then we need to be concerned about what's happening with the USPS, right? We need to be concerned with how people are being split up about, you know, we need to be concerned with gerrymandering before it gets to right now, right? That's something we should have already been concerned about, right? We need to be concerned about the ways in which incarcerated folks and formerly incarcerated folks are being treated while voting. It's ridiculous to me that we live in a society in which incarcerated people can vote towards how many electoral votes that a state gets, but those people are not allowed to vote, right? That's actually concerning. Even when we think about this fictitiousness around being a democratic society, we were talking last night, and I said, you know, we live in an oligarchy, right? So we live in a society that is ruled by billionaires, right? Like we in the U.S. definitively do, right? It's like we can't even pretend that we don't when we think about who gets bought out in Congress, who gets bought out in the Senate, who gets bought out in the White House, all these different things, right? That our votes, we're actually not the ones voted. We're being voted in, right? Or people are being voted in by the Electoral College, right? Which many of us don't have direct access to even know why someone is in the Electoral College voting for us on our behalf, which was in place, right? Specifically to stop terrible things from happening.
Right.
And so we saw even the election being stolen last year, right? We saw the election being, we saw the election specifically being interfered with by outside of the U.S. parties, and still the Electoral College didn't actually give a shit, right? So, what part of the voting process are we actually participating in? What part are we brought to or taught to believe in that actually doesn't exist? And even, we get coerced, right? We get coerced to participate in a system that isn't always in our best interest. If I think about myself as a Black person, being part of a community that's 13% of the country, does that mean that all the other people in the country, even if it was a functionally democratic society, do other people have a right to decide for me as a Black person what Black people get or what our needs are? That doesn't make sense to me, right? So there's got to be some other ways that we actually negotiate fighting for the rights of our folks and fighting for the rights of all people that are on this continent.
Awesome. Yes. And so we had something else that we wanted to touch on. So just one thing that Mason brought up, and I echo, is that during this election time, we have to really focus on safety. Safety before the poll, safety before you vote, safety right now. And we are talking about the physical safety of bodies and safety after. Yes, thank you. I believe whatever direction this election goes, I just feel violence is going to happen. Especially if you are a body that people think that they can overpower or overtake. So we're looking at Black bodies, we're looking at queer bodies, Black queer bodies, Black trans bodies, youth, Black women. So our next thing that we had on our list that we kind of wanted to discuss, what systems do you have in place for safety at the polls and after the election? And so just we also want to give some helpful tips about making sure that our community stays safe. It's a crucial time for safety. As we can see, we cannot count on the police to keep Black bodies safe. If you are a trans body, if you are a non-conforming body in a Black body, you really can't count on a lot of cis people to keep you safe also. So this is specifically talking to Black trans folks and Black non-conforming folks that are going to vote and how to keep you all safe. So I will leave it right there, and I'll have my two loves talk more about that.
Yeah, I'll start, because one of the things that we really want to touch on is we want to be prepared for the terrorism that's going to come.
Yes.
I'm going to call these terrorist attacks. Like white people being angry are terrorist attacks. Violence against Black trans bodies are terrorist attacks. And so we hope that everyone is preparing themselves. We're not trying to be a reactive but proactive community. And so I literally Googled how to prepare against a terrorist attack. And from the redcross.org, this is also based off of 9/11, just to put it in context, but we're gonna flip it and be like white people. So
you didn't want to use the zombie prepared kit that I sent?
The zombie prepared kit, I still have it up. The zombie one is more about the aftermath of the war ending, and you need gallons of water and food and clothes and bedding. So I was like,
what we need
right now.
That might be some shit you need in November, but we'll talk about that too.
Okay, we'll talk about that too. So some of the things to do before, what you can do now for those of you that are worried again for what's going to happen to you on your way there, what's going to happen to you for not even doing anything, is create an emergency communication plan. So who are your top 5 or top 3 people that need to know where you are, that you need to know where they are at all times, and make sure they know where you are. Check in with them, maybe when you're taking long commutes, check in with them maybe after you're commuting from a long night, really start connecting with your actual emergency contacts. Establish a meeting place if there is one. Make sure everyone knows where your meeting place is. Assemble an emergency preparedness kit, and that can include anything from like food, copies of your documents, money, extra cash, portable chargers, mace, not this one, brass knuckles, for those of you who are licensed gun owners, bring that as well too. This one also says check on school emergency plan, if any. Say you have, children, see if there's an emergency school plan. I know all of us are at home right now, but still, you never know, especially for, young adults who might be turning 18 this year and wanting to vote for the first time.
Right.
So make sure they have all of these. And then additional steps to before includes just having a basic first aid kit on your way. So have one with you on your car, in your backpack, just with you again with all the essentials. During a terrorism attack, so say something's happening around you or you are being confronted. This first one's hard to say, easier said than done, but remain calm and patient. Whew. The next one's also kind of problematic. Follow the advice of local emergency officials. So maybe follow the advice of
we're all lying.
Your friends around you, because hopefully we're traveling by now in 2020 in groups of people and not by ourselves. Hopefully.
Can we pause for a second?
Yes, we sure can.
With just the traveling with yourself. I please, especially during the week of the election, if you are a Black body, a trans body, a non-conforming body, and that's who I'm talking to, like,
we're talking to you.
Yes, please try your best to travel with a friend or let someone within your chosen family know where you're at.
Yes.
That's weighing heavy on me. If you make the choice to travel, and again, depending on how the election turns out, either way it turns out, that somebody knows where you're at, what you're doing, and seek safety. Yes, we don't care how grown you are. Seek safety. So I keep going. I just wanted to make sure we sit in that for a second.
Seriously, and carry your self-defense kits with you. If you are traveling alone, even more so, make sure you have it with you. If you're like, you know what, I tried to call someone and they didn't answer, they didn't text back. Make sure you have something on you. Again, our bodies do different things when things happen, but it's just we can always try, right?
Yes.
Yeah, shut off other damaged utilities. If the event occurs near your home while you're at your home, check for damage using a flashlight. Do not light any matches or candles or turn on electrical switches. Check for any fires or any hazards, any other household hazards. Sniff for gas leaks, looking at your water, looking at everything. So say like your house is being attacked or, your car, identify where your kit, where your emergency things are, identify your escape routes. We're taking it there, y'all. So I hope.
I want to interject. Go ahead, Mason.
Please.
Yeah, what's also important about that, like, because you said about like where your water is, all that stuff. So the day of the election is not the day to get your whole supply of water.
Yes.
Like that. So these are things that some of these things are things that you should have in advance. Some of y'all, if y'all go on, not for those of y'all that have capacity, if you go online, there's different emergency kits that you can get that have things like a couple days worth of food for like multiple people, that have like flares in them, that have like that stuff. Like I got a duty kit the other day. That's one of the versions that I got. But some of them include like tents and stuff, like if you have to run and go someplace, right? So we do not know realistically what is going to happen during the election. We literally do not know. I know that regardless of whether a Democrat or Republican wins on the day, there are white supremacists gearing up, regardless, to tear this fucking country apart, right? From the seams, okay? And so the hope is for many of us that election day, it goes and people are angry and there's just a few, maybe spurts of things places. We can't guarantee that. And so it's really important, I think, for all of us, as Randy is saying, as Danny is saying, that we got some stuff in place before the day of, that you talk to people, you communicate before then and stuff.
And if you are a cis person watching, a straight person, if you are someone with some type of access, it would be great if you use that access to put emergency kits together, especially for, and even the homeless population, the houseless population, make sure that they are taken care of, because again, they will be violently targeted just because they are houseless. So if you are someone with access, please make sure that happens. The other thing that I was going to say is that if you have family members that view the world differently than you, I would say stop talking to them at that point for your mental, emotional health. Again, you want to preserve yourself. So that would be a nice time to maybe disengage from them. There is a block button on social media that you can use now. There is, and I'm just saying, we tend to want to argue with people, and we don't realize that puts us in a vulnerable state also. Yes, Mason.
So one thing I'm actually thinking about, I'm trying to make this, so for me, what I think about too is like, I remember one time I was, especially coming out of like violent situations, something like that. I remember someone that had attacked me before was coming to my area one time, right? One of my friends had stayed friends with that person on Facebook, right? Didn't say anything, never engaged in any of their posts. That person probably forgot my friend was still a friend of theirs on Facebook. When that person was coming to the area, my friend was able to like, hey, by the way, this person is coming to the
Mason.
town. What do you need from? And I'm using that example in the sense of like, what I would actually also suggest is like, for those of y'all that have capacity, you don't engage with people. Don't argue. You don't have to argue with people because that's not a good use of your time, right? But sometimes people do wild shit, and your family members that you think just have a bad attitude could be doing some wild fucking shit, and you might actually be able to observe them planning some wild fucking shit on their social media, right? By not engaging them and just being in the background a little bit. So I would also say some people can run some surveillance. That's also a useful tool to like kind of see what they're doing.
Community policing and getting the community involved, because it can't just be us.
Right.
It can't just be us trying to, like, y'all have to literally, like, we have to start, like trying to, do what we're saying we're trying to do, and not being like, oh, we're here for community. But again, like if you're letting shit like that happen and not warning a bitch, are you here for the community? Or are you here to make sure you don't seem like you're not here for, like ego or come on.
Right.
Hate it. Thank you for that, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Actually. It's gonna take a lot of people doing this work for Black, queer, trans, non-binary, GNC, disabled, houseless folks. Like a lot of us have to do this. Evacuation, just again, identifying your evacuation routes, calling your top 5 people. This one says, listen to your local authorities. Fuck no.
We don't see that here.
Right.
And then after, and I'm done. So after. So there could be heavy numbers of casualties or damaged buildings or infrastructures or cars. So people need to be up to, big one. Stock up on your meds.
Yes.
Stock up on your meds if you can. Stock up on all of your hormones, all of your behavioral health things, all of your, neurological things. Stock up on your medical stuff.
Right. There's some great comments on Instagram. I just want to read LL. Again, what LL just echoed that. Stock up on your meds and ID documents and phone charger. Memorize 1 or 2 phone numbers of people you are prearranged to agree to be support. Get doctor's notes for any pre-diagnosed prescription, refill slips. Like, thank you, LL, for that. Like, really great information also. Mason, you were about to say something?
No, I was just going to, yes to all that. What I was also going to say is like, in terms of if you don't know what the language is, to maybe even talk to your doctor, because I know that I can have a conversation with my doctor about, hey, so this thing is coming up. I'm freaking out. So can we make sure I have these things? So reach out also if you need some support around that kind of language, right? Yeah. That some of us have been having those conversations with our medical professionals for some time, or can at least direct you to some medical professionals that might be more amenable than the ones that you have, right?
Exactly. That's really great.
And I think the biggest thing I want to leave with, because a lot of these are also kind of just, they mention heavy law enforcement. And I think I just want to make sure people know too, like, try your best not to aggravate them if you can avoid them. Like, if you can avoid law enforcement, if you are Black, queer, and trans, and all the things, like, if you can avoid them, please do. Like, please do. Let's keep this as in-house as possible. And so just, be wary of blocked roads where there might be barricades of police. Be wary of, just dead ends, dark alleys. If you don't have a car, really stay away from anything that has no street lights. Maybe like for public transportation, be careful, be wary. Like really, just try your best to avoid the law enforcement.
Also, just like having physical maps, because what I'm also thinking about is like sometimes I remember in New York, like if you were organizing, and sometimes they could block your cell phones, right? So like, realistically, I don't know what
People are on Signal now, but people probably know how to block that now. Probably by now, who knows?
Right.
So make sure you have a physical map and you're not just reliant. Like your cell phone is definitely a useful tool. Have all the things that you need to make sure it works. And just in case, have some things written down and place routes for you to get places.
Yes.
And then LL said, and this is for folks who are Seattle proper, or maybe nationally, but LL is definitely down to support on how to advocate with doctors and medical people and therapists around, prescriptions stocked up for the next few months, getting your med stuff. So thank you, LL, so much.
If people were going to reach out to LL, would that be through the Birthwork Collective, or where would that be?
Yeah, would this be through Birthwork LL, or would this be through you personally? Their personal, I'm not going to say their personal Instagram yet until they say I can.
Hello, LL. Yes, to which one, LL?
I know, they say yes. And prearrange times and locations with your support. They say no. Ooh, see, look, nope.
No to what? No to what?
Yes. Yes, you personal. No, you personal.
Which I'm like, I missed something. Did they say yes to Birthwork Collective?
I think me personal,
hi.
LL, how about you just send me a message and I will put that on our Facebook.
We'll post it on our actual.
We can put in the description of both of their situations.
Yes.
So as resources, as community resources. And thank you for that labor of
Hi.
So funny.
I can't, because I'm not on Instagram. I can't see what y'all are seeing, so I can't even.
Okay. And we can give y'all, we can post their email.
I also want people, so again, like
direct messages. Sorry.
Okay, if people got it like that too, like if you have a spare few dollars, if you have whatever, I would really love for people to like make sure they're also, so you can put together those emergency kits. You can also buy different emergency kits and stuff like that and get on the interwebs. There's quite a few different companies and organizations that make kits like that have all the supply needs, security needs, as well as food and survival needs should something go down for people. And those are not free things. Those are not free items. So making sure that there are some for community members, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're trying to type in LL's email. There's one more. We have one more thing to talk about under voting.
Okay.
That one off, please. The third thing of voting. Can you read that one, Mason?
Oh yeah. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So the last thing is, so the physical violence against Black bodies in voting, which I think is, so we wanted to talk a little bit more about physical violence against folks, which is sort of what we're getting into right now around safety pieces.
Okay.
And so again, like the hope is everything is just really fine on election day and the surrounding weeks and days before and after election day. And we know we're already seeing upticks in violence. And so that would be disingenuous for us to say that is not, that is not possible or going to happen. And we have LL's information here, like for everyone to see. Yes.
Need any assistance on getting your medical prescriptions or therapy notes or anything, how to advocate for yourself to get your meds stocked up. Thank you so much, LL, for that labor.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you. Yes.
We'll post this in the post as well, too, for this episode as well.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, just really realistically, I would love to know what other sort of safety measures, if there have been any that are missed, that people either in the, again, comments on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram have for us, or for my lovely colleagues and co-collaborators today, for Danny and Randy, like if there's other sort of things that y'all can think of that we haven't already addressed.
I think if there's places where people are actually going to go vote at polling stations, try to go with support. Be it if there's someone that you trust that can drive you to the polling places and stay with you during the process and bring you back home, just so violence won't happen, or we can cut down the acts of violence. Again, I'm just a big advocate to make sure you do what you need to do to preserve yourself that week. And even starting now, actually, because it's ramping up even now. So even now, but especially that week, just doing what you need to do, drinking water. If you don't have access to food, reach out to people so they can help you with access to food. I will definitely say if you are a Seattle person, I have a little bit of help that I can offer. So please reach out to me. Yeah, please reach out to me. If you are a Black, trans, queer, non-conforming person, let me be really clear about what I'm talking about. Not everybody.
You'll have all the kids.
Right. And so my lovely husband is making sure that we are safe with certain things, that we are safe.
Listen, that's why I'm about to be at y'all's house. Y'all think I'm playing with you all the time.
I think you're at Danny's all the time.
Right. Let me just put it like that. I love my husband because my husband is keeping us safe. So yes, makes sense.
And that's another thing for me. So whatever fake terms or whatever you use it in. Yeah, one thing that I know I've been doing, right, is weapons training stuff, right? It's like being clear about, I think that for people that are watching, right? So I think that making sure, so one of the things that Randy talked about is specifically, talked about was like mace or things like that. I think also, and so the hard part about weapons while black is you will always be perceived as a threat even without a weapon, right? You'll perceived as an extra, a threat with a weapon. And so also you don't necessarily need to announce what you got, where you got it, all that kind of stuff. So be private about that stuff. Talk about that with your team.
Stop posting it on Instagram.
Second.
To stop posting it on Instagram.
Like just on a real tip, and that's just on some stuff, because again, we know that the government also watches our social media. That is not a perception of someone's imagination. That is not unreal. It's very real. Okay, and we know that Facebook and other social media sites collaborate with police often based off of what they observe, right? So just a safety measure, thinking about that. Yeah. And when we talk about even supplies, like do not wait till the week of, don't wait till November 1st, right? We saw when the pandemic hit that people ran out of toilet paper, right? Of all the things that you needed, right? People ran out of basics, all the kinds of basic supplies. So understand that as the election gets closer, some basic supplies might also run thin. So please check in on that stuff in the next few weeks as you're able. Yes.
Yes. We are going to transition. So those are just some of the things that we didn't necessarily want to talk about, like the election and the candidates. What was more important to us, and I think I can say collectively, is just making sure our community, our people, the people that we love, are safe during this time, because we're all feeling some strong anxiety about this election and where this country is going to be, on top of it being a pandemic, on top of the fires, on top of the hurricanes, on top of RGB, on top of so many things, the social unrest. And so we're going to transition talking about the verdict that came out today. Breonna Taylor, if you are not aware, and the grand jury did not charge the officers with Breonna Taylor's murder. They did charge one of the officers of shooting into a house, and I'm sorry, I'm trying to get the legal.
Wanton endangerment.
Thank you, wanton endangerment. So, this wasn't on our list to talk about today, but after this came out, again, I'm just losing faith. On our show, on the living room, you have 3 queer trans individuals and how we show up, and so we understand, safety and violence. and trying to keep our bodies safe. The thing that I come from a family of Black women, a lot of Black women in my family, and this again just hit me because Black women are not safe. Black films are not safe. Anything with that, I mean, and I don't even want to go as far as to say safe, are not anything at this point in time. And so it just hit me yet again. We have to look at young Black girls and teen girls and Black women and say, your life doesn't matter. And before you say no, we're collectively saying your life doesn't matter. And I'm just going to generalize all of us as we're saying that Black trans lives don't matter. And we can continue to say like Black lives matter, but we're consistently being told in this country that they don't matter. This woman was an EMT worker. This woman was doing the right thing. And our law enforcement, who was supposed to protect us, did absolutely the wrong thing. And because of that, she lost her life. Because of that, a Black Republican man, attorney, what was he? Something, I don't even know his name, was like, no, you did nothing wrong with killing this innocent woman sleeping in her home. An essential worker is what she is, what she was, making sure people are safe. And I don't know what to do anymore. I don't know what to say anymore. I don't know what we can't do anything to make it better. That's my belief right now. It just hit me. It hit me today. It hit me how we take so much from Black culture, especially Black women and Black femmes, and we suck them dry. Like we just sucking on the titty. We just sucking. And when they say, can you, we say no. And I know I'm making a really general statement, but I need to make a general statement. It is our responsibility as a Black queer person, as a Black person, and I say I'm on the trans spectrum because that's how I view myself at this point in time.
Period. I
don't have faith in cis Black men to protect me. So I do what I can to protect Black women. I understand what that may feel like or be. I have to do what I can in my power to make sure that my trans sisters are protected, that my trans brothers are protected, and on top of making sure that my nieces are protected. And I know I'm talking a lot. I'm just like exhausted. I'm sad. I have nothing. I don't know what else to do. Someone else take it away. I've been talking too much.
My curiosity for people that are watching is simply, was anybody surprised by the ruling today? Right. So like, because that's also a piece, right? So like, I think for most, like we've been watching sort of things like this happening again and again and again and again. Which again, this is the cyclical piece to me around voting, right? that's also the way it feels. Like we do something to diminish something, it doesn't happen. We do something else, right? We do the same thing to keep, and the reality is the justice system is not for us and hasn't been for us, right? And so I'm curious as to if people have seen community interventions that they have seen that make them hopeful. Are there any times in which is there a time in your life actually that I want everyone on the that's watching to actually answer? Is there a time in your life when you've seen Black folks get accountability or justice? Like, have you seen that? Because because that's what I'm curious of, is like, when is there a place?
They get justice in the form of monetary hush hush, but no.
Yeah, so we keep getting sort of that stuff, and that's so menial.
Yeah.
In your respects, right?
Yeah. Central Park 5, they just got those millions of dollars.
After years. After being Black in blood, after being like.
And so now I believe Taylor's family has like $12 million. Again, it doesn't mean shit.
because they're getting threatened, right? So it's not like you get money and all the threats go away, or like people stop harassing you or whatever. It's like people blame Black folks for our deaths. Like it's like we can't even just die and be dead, right? We die and we're blamed for it, right? And so people, because the automatic response when something like happens, like there's organizing around. For some of the deaths, there's organizing around us as Black and brown folks, as Indigenous folks, around solidarity partners, trying to call attention to stuff. And also immediately there's people automatically organizing around the police that murdered somebody, right? Yeah. And so those people, are constantly harassing community members, harassing family members, and other sort of folks that literally were just trying to live their lives before their loved one was ripped from them,
Right. I want to just throw out these names and just, it was Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron who ruled the verdict. Former Detective Brett Hankinson was booked Wednesday. And again, we know what that means. And another part about this, they gave Breonna Taylor's family $12 million. And I believe they did that prior to the verdict, because they already knew what the verdict. They already knew what they were going to do. So they're like, "Oh, if we give you this money, then we're all good." And again, no, we're not good. No, it is not good. And so, just again,
what's a little bit hopeful, the little tiny inkling of hope, that I'm mustering from the pit of despair, is the fact that in Washington. We finally defunded our police. So it means that we can finally start seeing money not go there. We can finally maybe put money into other things. But again, it's like the little tiny muster of what, it doesn't, none of it makes anything right. And I think that's the hard part. None of it still makes anything right.
Exactly.
None of it. And so it's what do you do then?
Right.
And I think that's where I'm at right now. And so the only thing I can say is let's just keep protecting ourselves and centering ourselves and really coming together, honestly, really truly coming together. I think we're still trying to come together in ways that are comfortable for us, which is understandable.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there needs to be some type of, for the Black community, the Black diaspora, because I just know that I can't do it alone, and we can't do it alone.
I think that's why, my bullshit earlier talking about the activist community in Seattle, that's another reason I'm just so angry and disappointed, because everyone's fighting over things and Black bodies are still getting killed. So you all are fighting each other and people are still killing us. And then you're still getting upset because people are killing us, but you're still not thinking yo, we need to talk to each other to stop this happening. I don't care how much money you get, how many buildings you get, that is not going to stop people from killing us. And so with you, again, you're playing into the system. I'm speaking directly to the Black activist community in Seattle, and I'm sure that's not the only place. And again, yes, and again, people are going to have things to say, but I am seeing what's happening on all fronts from all of you organizations. It is just getting more and more disappointing. And again, how we show up in the work is how we show up in the work. And no, I am not. Yes, I make a lot of posts on Facebook and things like that. I don't anymore, again, because I'm trying to preserve myself. But the things that I'm seeing and the organizations attacking each other and the people attacking each other, we are not the enemy. We are making ourselves the enemy, and we are not the enemy. And the enemies that are the enemies are still out there walking. They still have their badges. They're still killing us. They're going to golf. They're still doing other things. So yeah, it just plays into all of that.
For them.
Yeah.
Making their coffee.
And as I talk to you all, I'm talking to myself. There's a lot of work that I have to do. And again, we have to remember there's work that we all have to do to make this better. Anything else on Breonna Taylor? I know we'll talk more about it later, but I wanted to bring some levity and some lightness to us because we've been talking about pretty heavy things.
I think give yourself the space to grieve.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Like, don't be like, oh, why am I on this? Grieve. Sit in it for as long as you need.
Right.
You know, like until you feel like you're anything better.
Yes.
You know, let's not try and like put on a brave face anymore. If things are affecting you, let them affect. In my opinion, you know, like the more you try to fight it and be like, oh, this stuff needs to get put, these things need to happen before. No, like put yourself first and take care of yourself.
Right.
And that's real. And that's for me too.
I think also, I think during this time, people need to plan for their own healing. You know, like figure out what is it that you need to feel centered right now. I think realistically, also, just to some of your points, Danny, the reality is also it's like since the beginning of time, since the beginning of any kind of organizing, when there was more than one person in a room, even sometimes when there was a person by themselves, arguments and arguing has always happened across. You know, all things. And so what I would ask people in this moment too is like, who are your alliances? Who are the people that you trust? Who are the people that you share an interest with that maybe you do need to be someone who, like I think that we need to also within communities, not just Black communities specifically, but within communities in which we have shared interests, figure out how do we commit to transformative justice? How do we commit to de-escalation? How do we commit to understanding that things are tense because the world is doing a lot of stuff to us, right? So of course we have tension. Of course we have anger towards each other. Of course we have anxiety towards each other, all these different things. And there's models out there to do some of that work. Because I think especially in this time as the election is coming up, we need to know where we can go for that support, right?
Exactly.
Speaking of the election, just some deadlines for us all. The registration deadline online is October 26th, if you have internet access. By mail is also October 26th. The last day to register in person is, of course, Election Day. Please do not wait if you are planning to vote. Wait till Election Day to do that.
Right.
Your absentee ballot deadlines are both November 3rd by 8 p.m. And early voting starts October 16th. So you can turn in your vote as early as you can and not wait until November 3rd. So you can vote as early up to October 16th. I believe that's both online and in person. And the deadline to update any existing voter registration, if you have a name change or an address change, this is for a lot of us out there, is October 26th.
Yes.
So the last day to update your information and make sure, especially for us that get our ballots mailed into us, make sure your shit is accurate by October 26th. And that's it. That's all we're gonna talk about voting. If you don't want to vote, we love you still. Take care of yourselves.
That part.
That's so shady.
We're gonna move into who's killing it in the world today.
Lighthearted.
Yes, like.
Can we take a collective breath real quick? Can we do a
I
woosah?
was thinking that. I was so thinking that. Yes.
Let's do a woosah with everybody out there in the universe, on the electro internet sphere, whatever the fuck. Let's do a woosah on 3. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Woosah.
We needed that moment. Who's killing it in the world today? So I love talking about this person. We'll start with them first. Cleaver Cruz is killing it in the world. So if you know nothing about Cleaver Cruz, get to know Cleaver. Stop. Cleaver Cruz from Uptown New York is a Black queer Dominican American creative writer and educator. Cleaver's work has been featured in various publications in print and online. Cruz is also one half of the poetic duo The Delta, which it has performed in the Nuyorican, I hope I'm saying that right. Nuyorican Poets Cafe and Bowery Poetry Club, among other spaces. Cleaver is an alum of the Vana Voices of Our Nation Foundation's Emerging Writers Nonfiction and Keon Review Writers Fiction Workshop. Cruz has presented and conducted work across the African diaspora and South Africa, France, Brazil, and other countries. Cruz is the creator of the Black Joy Project, a digital and real-world affirmation The Black Joy is Resistance. Cleaver is also a member of We Are All Dominicans, a U.S.-based grassroots collective that works in solidarity with movements led by Dominicans of Haitian descent, fighting for inclusion and citizenship rights in the Dominican Republic. Cruz believes in the power of words as the means to write the stories that did not exist when Cruz needed them the most. Why am I bringing up Cleaver? Cleaver and I have been knowing each other for a few years, and how we met was we were part of a retreat, and I'm forgetting the name of the retreat, so it does not matter. It was at Vassar College in New York. And
Who's that one?
It was that one.
Wow.
Yes. And so I mentioned something about Black Joy, and then Cleaver was like talking about Black Joy, and I was like, yeah, I'm really interested in that. But what connected us, Cleaver received probably a week before we met an article that Reagan Jackson wrote about me doing some Black Joy at Othello Park.
Wow.
So Cleaver received that and read that. And so Cleaver was like, wait a minute. What? You're this person that I just received this thing on. So that's how our friendship started. Small world. Wow. Cleaver is an amazing human being, really light in spirit and in their heart. And also they're doing conversations centered around Black Joy. The last conversation will be this Friday. And who's the special guest on that conversation? She is. Right. I love talking to Cleaver. In our Facebook post and in our YouTube post, I will put the link to tickets. It is free. This conversation is a webinar just for Black bodies.
Just for Black bodies?
Just for Black bodies. So if you are not a Black person, you will miss what I have to say, and that's okay. We'll move on. But Cleaver Cruz, the information, the Black Joy Project on IG. Please just follow Cleaver and the Black Joy Project on IG. There's a picture, if anyone knows Okoya dances for Spectrum Dance Theater. Okoya has some photos in the Black Joy Project, also on Cleaver's page. The next person I want to talk about, so last week, Cleaver interviewed this particular person, and her pronouns are she and her. And I fell in love with her. And one day I will meet her. She's gorgeous. Jewel Cadet, Jewel the Gym. Let's make sure we pull up her. Thank you. Yes.
I found her.
Yes.
Jewel _ the gym.
On Instagram. Jewel is from East New York, Brooklyn, born to Haitian parents. A strong believer that the revolutionary spirit runs through her veins. She fights for the most marginalized in every way she can, from rallies and protests to creating spaces for the Black queer community to live their best lives on the dance floor. Jewel prides herself on being grounded in the needs of the people. So she does these parties. She does classes. She has a podcast. The Ratchet Realm Party.
Where was I at when these were happening?
I'm going to connect with her personally. I'm just going to send her a message and be like, whenever it's safe. There was videos. Folks was like just getting it. Like Black folks was like, like it was so hot. I know we tried to do it in Seattle. I know it was just something about the energy. She has a platform. She has that really centers Black trans women. And Black queer voices. She identifies as queer. Cleaver asked her something like, how do you take care of herself? And her answer, I was just like, she was like, I take care of myself. And the first thing she said was like, masturbation. And I was just like, okay, Jewel. Yes. So please follow Jewel, Jewel _ the gym on IG, and Cleaver Cruz, the Black Joy Project on IG. They're killing it. Individuals that are just living their lives and trying to put some goodness and some levity in the world. IG, I believe is this IG?
That looks like...
No, that's not IG.
Something else. The IG is @Jewel _ the
right.
gym. JEWEL _ the gym.
Right. And so those folks, just for me, are killing it out there in the world today. Yes.
I love a link tree.
So and then she's on YouTube. She has podcasts. She does interviews and things like that. So follow her. Get your life. Maybe we will have a Ratchet Round party out here.
One day.
Safe. When we can be safe.
Or it could be an invite
One
on
day.
a select group.
When we safe.
When we safe. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, like
you are trying.
like, looking at you like, no, Randy, that is not the.
Right. She's trying to get it.
Nah,
I'm like,
it's a pandemic. Okay.
Hello.
Just a little quickly.
Just a little quickly.
Just a little hurry.
Yes.
Cherry pop.
Do we have any? What else we got to talk about? Like, we have about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
We're trying to also cut down the time.
Yeah. I wanted to shout out someone. So, Randy, I don't know if you had some people you wanted to share. I had someone I wanted to. Yeah. So, I mean, the only person I wanted to really talk about was so this past weekend, in the last week and a half, I actually lost a friend of mine, Janisha Gabriel. So, Janisha Gabriel was someone who was a founder of Black Lives Matter in New York City. And she also, so as I met her through organizing in New York, I also know she was the first person to actually make the Black Lives Matter Global Network website. So if you've ever been on the Black Lives Matter website, Janisha built that. She was a graphic designer. She was a brilliant artist. Hopefully, I think as her friends and loved ones kind of parse through some of her art might be shared more with the world in the next few weeks and months, which I think would be a total blessing. But yeah, I just want to shout out that oftentimes as we talk about Breonna Taylor and we talk about Black women and Black femmes not being valued, I want to shout out a Black woman, a Black queer woman, a Black theologian who was such a blessing and gift to so many people behind the scenes, that she's done so much work that has touched even many of y'all's lives that you might have never ever known her name. And unfortunately, we lost her this week. And so I just want us to think about all the different Black women and femmes that are doing the unseen labor that allows the world to keep moving, right? And so she's one of those people for me. And I know she's been one of those people for hundreds and thousands of us, right? Whether or not, again, you knew her name. So, yeah, and I just want to put her name up on the
Thank you.
screen real
That's something else that I want to bring up on the Killing It section. Someone that may or may not be one of our co-hosts that, like, this year, not dropped one, but dropped 2 books this year alone. In a pandemic, some people work real hard. I don't. My lovely co-hosts work really hard. I'm not. J Mace the Third. You have talk about your book, your latest project, because we have not been on since the book dropped.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I guess so. So I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but so my latest book is White Folks Be Trippin', an ethnography through poetry and prose. And so what it is there's some, so like it says, there's some poetry stuff. For those of y'all that are familiar with the ways I like to write, there's like some fill in the blank stuff. And it's really a tool for Black, brown, and indigenous folks to process all the absurdities of dealing with white ass shit, right? So whether that's if you got to deal with white government, if you got to deal with white folks at work, if you got to deal with white folks other places. But so it's a book for Black, brown, and indigenous folks. And it's just about observations we might make. It talks a lot about, it has some different affirmations in there. It has some different places in which we can focus on Black futures and other sort of stuff, right? This one quote I just landed on, I think speaks to me a lot today. It's, I don't trust anyone who demands peace of people that are being terrorized, right? It's just like different little pieces in there that people can kind of leaf through and play with. It's somewhat humor stuff, because I think sometimes we got to laugh to keep from crying or laugh through tears. Yeah. And like I said, so far it's been nominated for about 4 book awards, which I'm just very grateful and excited about. And you can actually get that on my website, so you can get it off.
That's the first thing that came up, but go to your website.
Yeah, so you can go to jmaceii.com.
Let me get rid of that one. Yes. It's so casual. I've got nominated for 4.
Yeah, what awards?
4 awards
them?
in the pandemic. And
One of them I got submitted for was like someone. So I got submitted by some some folks who like my writing for like a Pulitzer, which is a Pie in the Sky dream. That's a Pie in the Sky. And then some other ones like a Literary Titan and some other different book awards. So some smaller and bigger awards. So just kind of excited to see what all happens from that in the world. So if you a praying person, if you believe in any kind of entities, I'm really all meaning all that in the world. So yeah, so you can check it out on my website and check out any of my books from there. Yeah, that's what I'm doing during the pandemic.
That's why you're ignoring it. Because you're working really hard.
Again,
look, we have our moment. Don't try to defend yourself. You're half forgiven. Okay? You're half forgiven. So we know you're working really hard. But still, we do miss and care about you dearly.
Yes.
So, speaking of someone who's always posting on IG, but don't text them.
Listen.
As your co-wives.
Listen.
We have stories.
Listen. Randy was saying, call me uncle the other day. Did you call me uncle? I was like, Randy always be trying to remind us that she's the youngest one. So Randy can't just be the youngest one. Randy has to make sure that of everybody that's in the room, she is the youngest one. Okay.
I was going to say that.
Is it abusive or is it just a fact?
Ooh. So now, this show will be co-hosted by Danny Terrell and Jay Mason III. We will be looking for a new person. Not really, no.
No. Come on, y'all. You know you love me.
We love you. Don't touch me. No.
Remember, we're getting on Jay Mason, not me. I've been here.
Listen.
I mean, that's true. She has been here.
The youngest been here.
Oh. See, you just don't know when to stop. You just don't know when to stop.
I do.
Yeah.
We are coming close to the end. We are also trying to make sure. Don't Instagram encourage her. We're trying to make sure as we tighten up things, we are also trying to not have a long drawn out program just because. And again,
still a computer screen.
Yes.
You know what I mean? We don't want your eyes to fall out.
Why is he walking around? Why can't he just going? Even if we were trying, is going. Let me walk around and show you my fabulous apartment in the process.
My new apartment. That was a long haul.
It was a long
That was a very long haul.
Yes. Some people have to be extra. Wait, did he just... He's plugging up his computer because it was about to die. Why?
And then it died.
Yes.
He was plugging it up.
Yes.
And then it died as he was plugging.
He will be back on. I hope.
He'll be on by the time we're off.
Yes, we will just wait.
I am hollering.
This is funny. This is yeah.
See? And yet again, we're here by ourselves.
As we count on Mason to
count on the men.
Yeah. I love the fact that it's just a swirling.
I know.
I mean, that's what I feel like communication with Mason is. We're just going in. We're just swirling.
Swirling around.
One day he'll respond to us. He's probably hearing everything that we're saying.
Oh,
and
now
he'll be back.
Definitely not.
He'll be back. I guess we're going to slowly talk about what is your joy.
Yes. Slowly. I can start.
Yes, as we try our best to get him back.
My joy is I have a lot of joys actually. I named them in my check-in for a little bit. The weather right now is my joy, even though it rained. I needed some soup and thick socks and hot cocoa with marshmallows. But it's okay. I'm glad that the smoke has cleared. One of my really, really, really good blessings is that I mentioned it, I think,
This was one of his book release programs. He would make this happen.
Okay.
He would make sure that he is plugged in and stayed in. We're talking about what Randy's joy is.
Yeah, I was rudely interrupted
Hey.
But no, I have some really fun, exciting videos coming out actually, and that has actually been my joy. I've been able to be creative in a way that makes sense to me, which is nice because and it's funny because I haven't been dancing. I've been just doing kind of like visual projects. And for one of the projects, they're like, are you gonna dance? And I was like, one, I am dancing. Two, I'm not gonna dance like Beyonce and Coachella while I'm doing the spoken word here. So I'm gonna do some, so I was like, no, it's dancing, but it's performance art. Like, calm down, right? I'm not giving you a whole 20-minute sweat down. I'm super excited, right? Like, I'm super excited. My first video with the cut came in and I gave my edits. So I felt like a real director. I was like, ooh, let me give my little edits. Like, ooh, I want this here. Ooh, what about this? Bring that question back. Why wasn't it included? So, I'm just feeling like on my boss shit right now, which has been really nice. And so, yeah, my joy has definitely been in my little ounces of creativity that haven't necessarily been creating movement pieces, but just like artistic pieces. And so, yeah, I'm really excited to share with y'all what I've been working on.
Okay. When do those videos start dropping?
Let's just say early. No, I do know. I just don't know if I can say it out loud yet. But let's just say first week of October, you'll start maybe seeing one of my projects.
Okay.
You might see me just being real ignorant and ratchet, being like, "Oh my God, watch my shit!" by the first weekend of October.
Okay.
That's all I can say. I don't think I can give the exact date yet. People be doing this stuff.
True. Gotta be quiet.
Yeah, be quiet for a little bit.
Yes.
Just for a little bit.
Yes. Mason, what's your joy?
My joy is during this pandemic, I think, I'm just finding I'm centering more what my purpose stuff is. What is the laughter? What's the laughter?
I almost said something real shady.
Don't say shady
It was
things.
not me.
But so, for example, so right now I'm working on a project which I was talking to y'all about, another writing project that got accepted today. And yeah, I'm going to keep it under wraps until it happens, but I'm pretty excited about it. And yeah, so just finding more ways to do the things that I love during a time in which things are, I think for a lot of us, especially as artists, things start and are very uncertain in a lot of different ways. And so I think a lot of us have had to pivot. And so I'm just grateful for spaces to pivot and to feel blessed in.
She's playing with her chest.
It was giving me straight now.
I can't.
Symmetry.
Yes, my joy is people have been asking to interview me a lot lately, which has been very interesting. I have no idea when anything's coming out, but when it is, you will know. I had this one interview that I revealed some stuff, things that I talk about publicly, but not really publicly. So that's going to be really interesting to have that come out. And I will say something about that. The person who interviewed me, I adore dearly, and we are around the same age. And I realize when you grow up a certain way in your queerness, there are certain words and language that you use. And because I hang around younger queers and folks like that, those words, those phrases are no longer a part of my language. So a lot of the interview, I was just like, oh, we're still saying that. Oh, we're still saying that. I was like, oh, okay. And it just kind of caught me off guard. So it's a very interesting thing. And also understanding it's just like I grew up in this, in my queerness in the same time that the person who did. So it's nothing, it's the interview was good. It was just like the language stuff was just like, oh, okay. But also but understanding where that stems from and where that comes from. So that's one interview. Another interview program called Underneath the Shade Tree. I have no idea when that's coming out. And then again this Friday, I'm being interviewed and talking to Cleaver Cruz, My Black Joy Project. You may see some video clips of a show that involves Randy and Mason and some other beautiful people. So there'll be some clips dropping inside of that. It's free. Yeah. And my other joy is we are searching for a place to live outside of Seattle, Washington. We're searching for that. It may be sad for some, but we're still going to be doing the living room. We're going to work what that looks like out as long as we can. But I'm excited about just newness, and I'm excited about transformation. I'm excited to be closer to my family. And so that's what's happening. And it would normally be like, don't talk about it, don't say anything. But also, I'm trying to manifest dollars in this move. I'm trying to manifest people with access to housing in this move and all of these things. Mm-hmm. And again, the universe may be like, y'all gonna stay here for another year or two. Who knows? But only my husband. What? Okay. Yes, Marlon. Yes. So that's some of my joy. I can't. That's some of my joy. Our goal is to be back next week. And hopefully we will work through these transitions, and you will start to see the living room look a little different. It probably won't happen till like mid-October-ish, but we want to make sure we stick around. As much as we love our breaks, we do love this program, and we love like presenting to you all, but we also will be booked and busy, so you may not see all three of us here all at the same time, or you may. It just depends on what we have going on. I have two extremely busy co-hosts. I'm purposely not doing a lot of stuff, so I can't even be like, I'm busy. So, that's it. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, so thank y'all for folks joining us. I'm glad to be back. And excited to see y'all next week.
You wear your masks.
Keep wearing your masks.
And because I'm seeing a lot more people again eating out and going to shit, but
no masks.
Wear the mask. Hand sanitizer stock in, so get that in.
We've reached the 200,000.
We've reached the 200,000 mark
of people that lost their lives because of COVID. So if it's real. Still. And just do what you can to take care of yourself. I know we're tired of being cooped up in the house. A lot of people are, but I don't want to go to your restaurant or your party.
And Ron's like, wash your damn hands. Okay.
Yeah, the ball can be weekend though. Speaking of which,
right?
Also, short, small social distancing things. So hopefully we see some of you out. If you're white, maybe please stay home unless you plan on helping. As far as like setup and takedown. But yes, I'm excited for the ball if weather permits. If it doesn't allow, we'll push it to the next weekend. But it's going to be an outdoor small event. Super excited to have some Black joy with the cuties out here in the Kiki scene. Thank you. I'm looking forward to that this weekend. Saturday, 3 p.m., Jimi Hendrix Park, for those of you that are in Washington.
Hold on one second. If you want to donate to the ball, to help support the ball and help the Royal House of Noir, that is their cash app. So please, if you can, give a few dollars.
Cash App and PayPal, I believe.
Yes. Okay. Awesome. So give in.
And Venmo.
Yes, and Venmo. So again, all dollars matter at this point in time when you're talking about Black joy, liberation, and freedom.
Hello.
Listen, a lot of people's survival plans, a lot of people's safety plans will be a lot easier. They have the finances to make choices, right?
Right.
So, thank you, JVC, for tuning in. Marlon Brown, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. We will be back next week with some more antics. We don't know what we talk about next week. Just tune in, and we will see you then. Bye, everybody. Mwah.
Peace, y'all.
Bye.
Love you, LA.